All right, guys, we are going to do a little Facebook Live for you here from Lumberton, certainly talking about the situation at hand here, new out of the governor's office this morning. My friend Charlotte has joined me, and we're going to talk to her in just a second. But new out of the governor's office this morning is the fact that we have got a breach. We have got a breach here in the Lumberton area, and that is causing new evacuations. We've already had about 1,500 people removed from their homes, and they're hoping to get even more people out. So where do you think this breach is? Because that's been the big question on our minds. We don't see helicopters around, so it's obviously out of our sight path.
They told us the levee broke on South Lumberton end.
Okay,
that's
so
Martin Luther King Drive.
We're on the northeast side, so that's the southwest side. That's pretty far away from us.
Yes, sir.
Maybe 5 miles.
Maybe.
So we won't be able to see that. Tell us what you've gone through here.
Well, it took me, what normally takes me 20 minutes to get to work, it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get to work this morning because I was going all around roads. I had to get a police escort in, which when the police come, they said the roads were safe, everything was still safe. But as soon as we got to work, they said that the levee broke on the south end. So we're trying to find a way to reroute us around to get back to Roland today.
So you're at a hospital.
I'm with Southeastern.
And did they evacuate that hospital, or is there
no,
still
sir? It's still
clear.
clear like this. There's no water on that end.
Is there power?
There's power. There's generators.
There's
generators at the hospital.
Okay, so you guys are set there.
The hospital's safe. The hospital, the hospice house, everything like that's safe.
But still, can they house the staff? Because I mean, you guys, where do you guys do? You can't. In some cases, some of you can't even go back home because you've been evacuated.
From my understanding, there is rooms for the staff and doctors.
Okay.
You can go in the lounges and sleep if need be.
All right, so the hospital's doing well.
The hospital's wonderful.
Now, I mean, in terms of Lumberton, though, I mean, do you remember a disaster like this in this area?
I'm 41 years old, never seen nothing like this in my life except in New Orleans when Katrina hit in 2005.
I guess this is your Katrina.
This
right?
is our Katrina.
You've got levee breaks, you've got flooding all over the city. Yeah, it makes sense. That's for sure. I mean, tell me about this community, just because I'm not really that familiar with it. I mean, I know the South, a lot of wonderful people down and through here, one helping the other, and I would imagine when this water recedes, that's kind of how it's going to go here, right?
Yeah, this is a God-fearing nation here. Everybody loves the Lord, praying and getting us through everything. There's really nothing, nothing other we can do but pray that God will hold everything back today as the day continues, that the water recede.
You've got prayers, and you've got the Salvation Army, the American Red Cross. The governor's been pretty forthright.
Yes, sir.
When you start mentioning a town right out of the gate in your news conference, that's a pretty big deal. So,
yes, sir.
You're getting a lot of attention, and
yes,
that's
sir.
good. It's just going to take time for this water to come down. That's the biggest problem.
It is. And Roland was hit. I live in Roland, so it took, like I said, an hour and 45 minutes to get to work this morning. But it's bad in Roland. It's really terrible in Roland from what I've seen. But Lumberton is hit far worse than Roland. It's sad.
Well, Charlotte, good luck.
Thank you.
To you and your family, and certainly all your hospital staff. We appreciate the hard work and the extra hours.
Thank you.
All right, guys, again, the situation here, certainly one, again, is the press conference from Governor McCrory this morning, right out of the gate, Lumberton, levee breach. We got issues where we need to get additional people out, so much so that the FAA has even shut down the airspace. Nobody can fly in and around Lumberton or over Lumberton because of the fact that you've got a relief effort going on here. Helicopters are actually going in, removing some of these people from their roofs. Again, this is so breaking, I don't know all the details on it. Even Charlotte is saying she doesn't know all the details on it. So, that is something. 600 National Guard on hand, statewide 1,400 water rescues. Now, obviously, that's not Katrina by any imagination. There was, I think, 22,000 water rescues during Katrina. But, relative to size, that's a big deal for the town of Lumberton. We've got 600 National Guard, as I mentioned, and 1,500 people that have been stranded here in the Lumberton area. We've had people come up to us and actually ask us how to get out of here. They don't really have any idea how to get out of here. A lot of people's GPS isn't working because the cell service is not strong with the power out. We have a situation where a lot of the roads are blocked. We know that I-95 is blocked here because the Lumber River is flowing over the top of it. And what I think interesting, and I don't know how high the water is, but if you look at the river gauge of the Lumber River at Lumberton, which is where we're at, It's at 21 plus feet. It does not come down maybe a foot over the next 5 days. So one could surmise that perhaps Interstate 95, the part that's closed, is going to be underwater for that time period. So I'm thinking there's got to be a way to come in here and make a couple of makeshift levees on either side of the river, or excuse me, the interstate, and then pump the water out of those. To me, that's the only way. If the river's going to, or the water's going to stay up, and the river's going to stay up, we know the water's going to stay up, then that's really the only way to deal with this. But again, I'm not a civil engineer, and that's certainly not my call, but I've seen a lot of projects and wonderful projects that the Army Corps has done along the Mississippi River that help situations like that, where they can open up roads or block areas where there is water even flowing or threatening. So again, speculation and idea, that's all I'm offering you out and through here. Hopefully, maybe part of the solution if they can actually attempt that. All right, Steve Pederak, my producer, he's actually helping me with this Facebook Live. Some questions, Steve, from people watching.
Absolutely. You answered the first one, Jim. I think the big onslaught of questions has been, is the river coming up and for how long? And I think you generally just...
All right, so we've peaked out. We crested. We crested yesterday at a record stage. But like I tweeted about, I've never seen a forecast beyond the crest stay above the old record, which was broken, by the way, by about 4 feet. So that's what is troublesome to me in the fact that, you know, if we don't bring the water below Interstate 95, we're going to continue to have problems in through here. It makes it harder to get a relief effort in here. It makes it much, much harder for people. I mean, I-95 is a major thoroughfare. It's one of the most busy interstates in the United States, period, bar none. And when you shut even of a section of it down, especially with the amount of commerce that travels on an interstate, it's, you know, it's a nightmare. Because there's rerouting, you're bringing additional traffic in other areas that don't usually have that type of infiltration. You cause traffic, backups, and things like that. So I-95 really needs to be avoidable. If I'm coming down this way and I need to get to Florida from Virginia, here's what I'm doing. At Richmond, I'm going I-85, down through Raleigh, down through Charlotte, down through, and actually at Charlotte, then you take, I think, 77 south out of Charlotte to Columbia, and then you can go back east to I-95. So if you're going to do that, Richmond down to Raleigh, 85, and then, or actually, no, I think you can come 95 all the way to Raleigh. So at Raleigh, you take 85 west to Charlotte, down to Columbia on 77, over to the 95 corridor, I think on 26. So it's a complicated mess, but one certainly that people are going to have to deal with should they want to make their way in and around this situation here in North Carolina. All right, Steve.
So we've been broadcasting from this area here in Lumberton. We've now heard about the levee breach. Just in you and I driving down Lumberton, put a little ratio on how much this town is sort of underwater and how it's reacting.
Well, if there's new water flowing through town, nobody's going anywhere. You've almost cut it in half, I think, just looking at where the water was. So the southeast side of the town is on the other side of the water, and we're on the northwest side of the town and the other side of the water. This is Saddle Tree Creek. This flows into the Lumber River. And this must be some kind of backwater area, because we know that the river itself has come down 3 feet. And one would think, okay, if the river's going to come down, so will the streams and creeks and whatnot that are feeding into the main stem river. And the fact that this hasn't come down makes me believe it's some kind of backwater area. Eventually it will come down, but the fact that the Lumber River, I think, is so high and even at record stage is not allowing this to drain out. So this is going to be a big problem. This is Highway 211, and we are right at where 211 meets 95 in Lumberton. So again, that's kind of on the northwest side of town. Obviously, you can't get across. That's about 2 miles worth of water across the road. All right, Steve, next question.
Absolutely. So, in your opinion, Jim, do you think Lumberton was expecting this type of flood?
No, nobody was expecting it. As a matter of fact, yesterday when we arrived on scene, right here at the Days Inn, okay, and back at the Quality Inn, they were pulling people out of these hotels. People woke up with water in the first floor of their hotel rooms. So a very well-executed and smooth evacuation from the Lumberton Rescue and EMS literally brought people with two-man crews in boats and their stuff over here to the shoreline, and we got a chance to talk to several of them actually, in pretty decent spirits. But I think one of the most amazing things to me, as out of the 110 people that were in these hotel rooms, many of them came from the coast to evacuate because of the evacuation order. And many of them have been here since last Wednesday, which is when Nikki Haley issued the order in South Carolina. So, it's like, okay, I get out of the way, I do what you say, I'm in the flood. But that was, when you have a hurricane, there are many, many facets of a hurricane. And inland flooding is a huge one. And it's certainly huge here for North Carolina. Anything else?
No, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up.
Tell the people they could go over to the Weather Channel.
Guys, yeah, we're going to continue to cover this story. We're not on 24 hours in a row anymore. But just before I wrap this up, to my colleagues at the Weather Channel, I could not be prouder. In my 30 years, I've never seen us, especially with a very limited staff, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, to put out the kind of effort socially and on air on television that I've seen here. I want to thank the folks from SiriusXM for allowing us to broadcast on Channel 184 and Channel 1 so that we could hear, as we were driving along, what was going on with the storm. That's where I got my information from. And anybody who thinks that the Hurricane Center put out a bad forecast, you're wrong. I want you to go read about the cone. Google the NHC forecast cone and realize that those forecast positions were within the forecast error. There is error within that cone, but the track and the actual outcome was well within that track. It was an excellent forecast by the Hurricane Center. My hats go off to them, the Weather Service offices for the local emergency managers, and their information that they got out to everybody. My colleagues in local media as well as national, just doing a tremendous job. Now, my heart goes out to everybody impacted. These aren't easy. They take a lot of time to recover from. Family has been impacted in a very, very large way. Millions impacted. Needless to say, we will never talk about the word Matthew again in terms of a new hurricane, because I'm almost going to give you a 100% guarantee with the loss of life and the impacts, this name will be retired. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. We'll see you back on the Weather Channel.